Where do you run when the world feels unsafe? When anxiety whispers lies in the darkness? When fear knocks at your door in the middle of the night, where is your hiding place? Tonight, I want to invite you into the most ancient shelter ever written, a place where millions have found rest for thousands of years, a place called the shadow of the Almighty. Close your eyes. Let your breathing slow. You're about to discover why this one psalm has calmed more anxious hearts than any other words in human history. You know, there's something deeply human about needing shelter. It's one of our most basic needs. We build homes. We lock doors. We pull blankets over ourselves at night. But what do you do when the threat isn't outside your door, but inside your mind? When the danger you feel isn't something you can lock out, but something that follows you into your own thoughts. That's the exhausting cycle so many of you face: nighttime anxiety, fear, sleeplessness that leaves you feeling unprotected and alone in the darkness. I think about the person lying awake at 2 in the morning, heart pounding, replaying a conversation from earlier that day, catastrophizing about tomorrow, feeling their chest tighten with each passing minute. Or the mother who finally gets the kids to bed and then can't shut off her own mind, cycling through all the what-ifs and the worries about whether she's doing enough, being enough, protecting them enough. Or the person who just received a difficult diagnosis and now every night feels like a battle between hope and despair, between faith and fear. Most sleep content tries to empty your mind, clear your thoughts, think of nothing. But I want to do something different with you tonight. I want to fill your mind with the most powerful protective promises ever written. Because you're not just trying to stop thinking, you're redirecting your thoughts to the one place they can truly find peace. Unlike secular mindfulness that asks you to let go, what I'm about to share with you invites you to hold on to specific, concrete promises of divine protection. This isn't positive thinking or manifestation. This is surrendering to a shelter that existed before your problems did. Think about it this way. When a child is afraid of the dark, you don't just tell them to stop thinking about their fear. You turn on a light. You sit with them. You tell them stories. You fill the darkness with your presence. That's what we're doing tonight. We're not trying to create an empty void in your mind. We're filling your thoughts with light, with presence, with promises that have substance and weight and reality. And here's something I need you to know right now, before we go any further. The lie says, if you're still anxious, you don't have enough faith. But the truth I'm about to reveal to you is this: faith isn't the absence of fear. Faith is the decision to dwell in God's presence even when fear is present. The psalm we're about to explore together was written for fearful people, not to shame them, but to shelter them. So if you're lying here tonight, with your heart racing, with your mind spinning, with worry sitting heavy on your chest, you're exactly where you need to be. This is for you. I've heard from so many people over the years who thought they were failing at faith because they still struggled with anxiety. They'd hear other Christians talk about perfect peace, and they'd think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just trust God and feel better? But that's not how it works. Trust isn't a feeling. Peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's the presence of God in the middle of the struggle. It's choosing to run to Him even when your emotions are screaming that He's not enough or He's not there. By the end of our time together, whether you're awake or asleep when this ends, you'll have spent over 2 hours in the safest place in the universe, under the shadow of the Almighty. So let your shoulders drop just a little. Unclench your jaw. You don't have to do anything, but breathe and listen. Let's begin. Before we enter the psalm itself, I want to paint you a picture. I want you to understand what kind of shelter you're stepping into tonight. Because this isn't just ancient poetry. These words have a history. They have power. They have carried people through the darkest nights imaginable for over 3,000 years. Imagine for a moment the ancient world. No electricity, no modern security systems, no hospitals on every corner. When the sun went down, the world became genuinely dangerous. Wild animals prowled. Bandits traveled under cover of darkness. Disease could sweep through a village without warning. And in that world, people understood vulnerability in a way we've almost forgotten. They knew what it meant to need protection that was bigger than themselves. This is the world Psalm 91 was born into. Scholars believe it may have been written by Moses himself, though we can't be certain. What we do know is that this psalm became what's called a traveler's prayer in ancient Israel. When someone was about to journey through dangerous territory, when a soldier was heading into battle, when a mother was sitting beside a sick child through the long hours of night, they would speak these words, not as a magic spell, but as a declaration of where their trust was placed. Think about that for a moment. Think about a mother 3,000 years ago, sitting in the dim light of an oil lamp, watching her feverish child struggle to breathe. She doesn't have antibiotics. She doesn't have a phone to call a doctor. All she has is her faith and these words. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Can you hear her whispering that? Can you feel the desperation and the hope mingled together in her voice? She's probably been up for 2 days straight. Her other children are sleeping in the corner. Her husband might be away, working or traveling. And she's alone with this tiny, burning body in her arms. Every breath the child takes sounds like it might be the last. And all she can do is speak these words over and over. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. She's not just reciting poetry. She's clinging to the only lifeline she has. And you know what? Mothers have been doing that for 3,000 years. This psalm has been whispered over sick children in every generation since it was written. It's been the lullaby of the desperate, the prayer of the powerless, the anthem of those who have nothing left but God. Or imagine a young soldier, maybe only 16 or 17 years old, lying on hard ground the night before battle. He's terrified. He's never seen combat before, and his father, before he left home, made him memorize this psalm. Now, in the darkness, with his hands shaking, he's reciting it to himself. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. The words become his shield before he ever picks up his physical one. He can hear other soldiers around him. Some are sleeping fitfully. Some are crying quietly. Some are sharpening their weapons with trembling hands. And he's just a boy, really, a boy who wants his mother, a boy who's terrified of dying, a boy who's trying to be brave but doesn't feel brave at all. And in that moment, these words are everything. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. He repeats it until his breathing steadies, until something in his chest unclenches just a little. He doesn't feel fearless, but he feels less alone, and sometimes that's enough. This psalm has been the companion of the frightened for millennia, and tonight, you join that ancient river of rest seekers. You're not the first person to lie awake at 3 in the morning, feeling afraid and alone. You're not the first to wonder if God really sees you, really cares about your specific fears and worries. Countless people have walked this path before you, and they've left these words as a map back to peace. Let me tell you about someone I heard from recently. A woman in her 50s who had never struggled with anxiety until she did. It came out of nowhere. A panic attack in the grocery store that left her shaking and confused. After that, the fear of having another panic attack became constant. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't drive. She couldn't function. She tried medication, therapy, breathing exercises. Some things helped a little, but nothing touched the core terror that had taken up residence in her chest. One night, at her lowest point, she stumbled across someone reading Psalm 91 on the internet. She listened to it, and something shifted. Not dramatically, not instantly, but she felt something she hadn't felt in months. A moment of peace. Just a moment, but it was enough to make her think, maybe, just maybe, there was a way through this. She started listening every night. And slowly, over weeks and months, the terror began to lose its grip. Not because the psalm was magic, but because it reminded her every single night of a reality bigger than her fear. It reminded her that she had a dwelling place, that she was covered, that she wasn't alone in the dark. The anxiety didn't disappear completely, but it stopped being the loudest voice in her life. And she learned something profound. You can be anxious and safe at the same time. You can be afraid and still be held. That's what I want for you tonight. Not instant healing necessarily, though God can certainly do that. But I want you to experience even just a moment of feeling held, of remembering that you have a refuge, of knowing that the terror, as real as it feels, doesn't get the final word. Now, I want you to understand something about the structure of where we're going tonight. This psalm speaks of dwelling and abiding. These aren't casual words. In the ancient Hebrew, the word translated as dwell carries the sense of sitting down, of settling in, of making a place your permanent home. It's not visiting. It's the difference between being a tourist and being a resident. Think about the difference in how you treat a hotel room versus your own bedroom. In a hotel, you're temporary. You don't unpack fully. You don't rearrange the furniture. You don't put pictures on the walls. You're just passing through. But your own room? That's different. You know where everything is. You've chosen the sheets. You've positioned the bed just so. It's yours. You're not visiting your bedroom. You dwell there. And the word abide, it means to lodge, to stay the night, to remain through the darkness. Do you see what's happening here? The very first verse of this psalm is inviting you to do exactly what you're doing right now. To settle in, to stay, to make God's presence your home for the night. You're not supposed to just hear these words and move on. You're supposed to dwell in them, abide in them. Let them become the four walls and the roof over your head while you sleep. This is why Psalm 91 has been used as a sleep prayer for so long. Because it's not meant to be rushed through. It's meant to be inhabited. Every verse is like a room in a house, and you're being invited to walk through slowly, noticing the safety of each space, the thick walls, the secure doors, the windows that let in light but keep out harm. This is your dwelling place for tonight. And here's something beautiful about dwelling. It's cumulative. The first time you walk into a new house, everything is unfamiliar. You're not sure where the light switches are. You bump into furniture in the dark. But the more nights you spend there, the more it becomes home. You learn its sounds. You know its creaks. You can navigate it in the darkness. That's what happens with this psalm too. The first time you hear it, it's new, beautiful, but new. But if you come back to it, night after night, it becomes home. The words become familiar friends. The promises become walls you know are solid. And eventually, you can find your way back to peace even in the darkest night, because you know where home is. Let me tell you about the metaphor that runs through the heart of this psalm, the image of wings. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. This is such a tender picture, and it would have resonated so deeply with ancient listeners, because they knew what it meant to see a mother bird protecting her young. In the harsh climate of the ancient Near East, sudden storms could be deadly. If you were traveling and you saw a hen with her chicks when a storm was approaching, you'd witness something remarkable. At the first sign of danger, the darkening sky, the rising wind, that mother hen would give a specific call, and immediately, all her little chicks would come running. She would spread her wings wide, and they would huddle underneath her. She would lower herself over them, and her wings would become their entire world. They couldn't see the storm. They could only see her feathers surrounding them. They could feel her warmth, her heartbeat. Picture this with me for a moment. Those baby chicks are so small, so fragile. One hailstone could kill them. One gust of wind could blow them away. They have no defense, no protection in themselves. They're completely vulnerable, but they have something better than their own strength. They have a mother who's bigger than they are, stronger than they are, who willingly places her own body between them and the danger. Sometimes, after a particularly violent storm passed, you might find something heartbreaking. You'd find a mother hen dead in the field, her wings still spread, and if you gently lifted her wing, you'd find her chicks alive underneath. She had taken the full force of the hail, the wind, the rain. She had died so they could live. That's the image being invoked here. That's the kind of protection being promised to you. And that image points us forward, doesn't it? To another time when someone would spread out his arms, not wings, but arms stretched wide on a cross, taking the full force of God's wrath against sin, taking the storm we deserved, dying so we could live. Jesus is the ultimate fulfillment of this image. He covers you with himself. The punishment that would destroy you fell on him. The death that should have been yours became his. And now, when God looks at you, he doesn't see your sin and failure. He sees you hidden in Christ, covered by the righteousness of the one who died for you. So when you picture those wings covering you tonight, you can picture them as the wounded, scarred, risen hands of Jesus, stretched over you, keeping you safe not just from temporal dangers but from eternal separation from God. The wings that cover you were purchased at Calvary. The protection you're being offered cost everything. It's not cheap grace. It's grace that flowed from pierced hands and feet. Grace that was secured when Jesus cried, "It is finished," and the veil tore, and the way to God was opened for sinners like you and me. And this imagery isn't unique to Psalm 91. It appears throughout Scripture. Do you remember the book of Ruth? When Ruth came to Boaz, seeking his protection, she said, "Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman." That skirt is literally the corner of his garment, his wing. She's asking him to cover her, to protect her, to make her his responsibility. And Boaz, as her kinsman redeemer, does exactly that. He marries her. He redeems her. He gives her a name and a home and a future. And do you know who Ruth's great-grandson was? King David. And do you know who came from David's line? Jesus, the ultimate kinsman redeemer, the one who spreads his wing over every person who comes to him seeking refuge. Or think about what Jesus said when he looked at Jerusalem, the city that would reject him. He said, "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not." Can you hear the grief in that? The longing? He wanted to cover them, to protect them, to shelter them. But they wouldn't come. They rejected the wings. They chose to face the storm alone. And it breaks his heart. Tonight, you're accepting an invitation that many refuse. You're saying yes to being covered, yes to being protected, yes to huddling under wings you cannot see, but have always been there. And that takes humility. It takes the willingness to admit you're a chick that needs a mother hen. You're not the storm. You're not the protector. You're the one who needs protecting. And there's no shame in that. That's exactly where you're supposed to be. Because here's what you need to understand about the God who's offering you this shelter. He has 4 names in this psalm, and each one reveals something crucial about his character and your safety. In verse 1, he's called the Most High and the Almighty. In verse 2, he's called the Lord and my God. Let's unpack each of these because they're not redundant. Each name is a different wall of the fortress you're entering tonight. The Most High in Hebrew, this is Elyon. It speaks of elevation, of supremacy, of being above all. When you dwell with the Most High, you're dwelling with the one who is higher than every problem you face, higher than your anxiety, higher than your circumstances, higher than the powers of darkness. Nothing can reach him, which means nothing can reach you when you're hidden in him. He has the high ground. He sees everything coming from every direction, and you're tucked safely beside him. Imagine standing on top of the tallest mountain you can think of. From up there, you can see for miles in every direction. You can see storms coming long before they arrive. You can see the whole landscape spread out beneath you. That's the advantage of height. And the Most High has ultimate height. He's above every situation, every circumstance, every power in heaven or on earth. He's sovereign, supreme, over all. And when you dwell with him, you share that perspective. The things that loom so large when you're down in the valley, they look different from the heights. They're smaller, more manageable. You can see that they're not the whole picture, just one piece of a much bigger landscape. The Almighty. This is Shaddai in Hebrew. It's one of the oldest names for God, and it carries the sense of being all-sufficient, all-powerful, the one who cannot be overcome. No enemy is stronger. No situation is beyond his control. When the psalm says you abide under the shadow of the Almighty, it's saying you rest in the sphere of influence of one who has all might, all strength, all power. His shadow falls over you like a mountain's shadow, vast, immovable, protective. Think about what Almighty actually means. Almighty, not mostly mighty. Not mighty in some areas, but weak in others. Almighty. There's no situation he can't handle, no enemy he can't defeat, no problem he can't solve. Now, that doesn't mean he always solves things the way we want or in our timing. But it does mean he's never wringing, his hands wondering what to do. He's never caught off guard. He's never out of options. He is the Almighty, and you're sheltered under his shadow. And what is a shadow? It's the absence of direct light because something large is blocking the source. For there to be a shadow, there must be something substantial between you and the sun. The larger the object, the larger the shadow. A blade of grass casts a tiny shadow. A building casts a large shadow. A mountain casts a shadow that can cover an entire valley. And the Almighty? His shadow is infinite. Everywhere you go, every situation you face, every moment of every day, you're in his shadow. He's between you and everything that would harm you. His magnitude, his immensity, his infinite power stands as a barrier, and you rest in the shade of that barrier. Then in verse 2, it gets personal. I will say of the Lord, this is Yahweh, the covenant name of God, the name he revealed to Moses at the burning bush, the name that means, I am who I am, the ever-present one, the one who keeps his promises, the one who enters into relationship with his people. This isn't a distant deity. This is the God who knows your name, who has counted the hairs on your head, who keeps track of every tear you've cried. Yahweh is the name of relationship. When God revealed this name to Moses, he was essentially saying, I'm not some far-off cosmic force. I'm personal. I'm present. I'm in covenant with you. And a covenant is binding. It's a promise that doesn't depend on your performance. God bound himself to his people, and he doesn't break his word. So when you say Yahweh is my refuge, you're saying the covenant-keeping God, the one who has never broken a promise in all of history, the one who cannot lie, he is my refuge. That changes everything, doesn't it? Because we live in a world where people break promises all the time. Spouses promise, till death do us part, and then leave. Employers promise job security and then downsize. Friends promise to be there and then disappear when things get hard. We're so used to broken promises that we've almost stopped believing in promises at all. But Yahweh is not like that. When He says something, it's as good as done. When He makes a covenant, it stands forever. And He has promised to be your refuge. That's not wishful thinking. That's covenant reality. And finally, my God. Not just God in general, not just the God of the universe. My God. Personal possession, intimate relationship. The psalm is teaching you to say this out loud. He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. He starts as the Most High and the Almighty, awesome, powerful, transcendent. But then He becomes the Lord, the covenant keeper, and finally my God, the one I personally belong to and who belongs to me. This is your shelter. Not a cold, impersonal fortress, not a distant, untouchable deity, but a God who is both infinitely powerful and intimately personal, high enough to protect you from anything, yet close enough to know exactly what you need tonight, close enough to hear the prayers you can't even form into words, close enough to feel the anxiety in your chest and say, "Come here, let me cover you, let me be your dwelling place." I think about the difference these names make when you're actually in crisis, when you're getting the phone call you dreaded, when you're sitting in the doctor's office hearing words like terminal or inoperable, when you're watching your marriage crumble despite your best efforts, when you're holding a pregnancy test with a negative result for the 12th time, when you're sitting at a graveside trying to understand why. In those moments, you need to know that God is Most High sovereign over even this. You need to know He's almighty powerful enough to sustain you through this. You need to know He's Yahweh faithful to His promises even when everything feels faithless. And you need to know He's your God personally present with you, not as a concept but as a companion, not as a theological idea but as a Father who holds you while you weep. Now I want to acknowledge something before we go deeper into the psalm itself. I know what many of you are feeling right now. You're lying there, and maybe your heart is still racing. Maybe the worries haven't stopped just because you started listening to this. Maybe you're thinking, this sounds beautiful, but I've prayed before and I still can't sleep. I've asked God for peace, and I still feel anxious. Does this even work? Let me speak to that tender, bruised place in your heart. The psalmist who wrote these words knew about night terrors. Look at verse 5. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. He's not writing to people who've never experienced fear. He's writing to people who know exactly what the terror by night feels like. That's you. That's me. That's all of us at some point. The terror by night is different from daytime fears. During the day, you can distract yourself. You can stay busy. You can push the anxiety down and keep moving. But at night, when everything is quiet and dark, when there's nothing to do but lie there with your thoughts, that's when the terror comes. The what-ifs, the worst-case scenarios, the memories you've been trying to avoid, the health worries, the financial fears, the relationship anxieties. All of it comes flooding in when you're trying to rest. Let me describe what this looks like for so many people. You're exhausted. You've been tired all day. You could barely keep your eyes open at dinner. You told yourself, tonight I'm going to fall asleep the moment my head hits the pillow. But then you lie down, and suddenly you're wide awake. Your mind starts spinning. You remember that email you need to send tomorrow. Then you think about the project that's due next week. Then your mind jumps to that awkward conversation from 3 days ago, and you start replaying it, thinking of all the things you should have said differently. Then you start worrying about your health. Was that pain in your chest serious? Should you have it checked out? What if it's something bad? And then you start thinking about your kids, your parents, your job, your finances. And before you know it, an hour has passed and you're more awake than ever. And now you're anxious about being anxious. because you know tomorrow is going to be brutal if you don't get some sleep. And the psalm doesn't say, "You'll never feel that terror." It says, "Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night." It acknowledges the terror exists. It just promises you don't have to be controlled by it. You don't have to be overcome by it, because you have a dwelling place that terror cannot penetrate. I want you to understand something profound here. The promise isn't that scary things won't come, it's that you won't be afraid of them. And that might sound like semantics, but it's actually the difference between slavery and freedom. When you're controlled by fear, every decision you make is about managing that fear. You don't take risks because you're afraid of failure. You don't open your heart because you're afraid of rejection. You don't hope because you're afraid of disappointment. Fear becomes the tyrant that rules your life. But when you have a shelter, when you have a dwelling place, fear loses its power to control you. Oh, you might still feel it. You might still have moments of panic or anxiety. But underneath it all, there's a deeper reality: you're held. You're safe. You're not alone. And that changes how you experience the fear. It's no longer the monster that chases you. It's just a feeling passing through, and you have a place to weather it. Some of you are also carrying physical pain tonight. Your body hurts. Maybe it's chronic. Maybe it's been with you for so long you can't remember what it's like to lie down without discomfort. And you're wondering how ancient words can help with that. But look at verse 3. "Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence." The noisome pestilence, the deadly plague, the disease that destroys. Your physical suffering matters to God. It's included in the things He promises to shelter you from. Now, does that mean you'll never be sick? Does it mean you'll never experience pain? No. We live in a fallen world. These bodies wear out. But it does mean that even in the pain, you're not abandoned. Even in the sickness, you're not forgotten. He covers you with His feathers, even when you're hurting. Maybe especially when you're hurting. The shelter isn't a promise that storms will never come. It's a promise that you won't face them alone. I think about people I've known who've lived with chronic pain for years, decades even. Some with conditions that have no cure, no real treatment, just management and endurance. And some of those people have the most profound peace I've ever witnessed. Not because they're not in pain, they are, constantly, but because they've learned to dwell in God's presence even in their pain. They've learned that physical suffering and spiritual peace can coexist, that your body can be screaming while your soul is resting. And that's not denial or suppression. That's the mystery of a dwelling place that transcends circumstances. Others of you are carrying emotional and spiritual weight tonight. You feel attacked in ways you can't fully explain. Maybe it's a sense of oppression, of darkness, of spiritual warfare that you don't even feel comfortable talking about because people might think you're being dramatic or superstitious. But the psalm speaks to that too. The snare of the fowler, that's a trap, a hidden danger, something designed to catch you unaware. There are spiritual snares. There are attacks on your peace, your faith, your hope. And God knows about those. He sees them. And He's positioned Himself between you and them. You don't have to understand all the theology of spiritual warfare to benefit from this promise. You just have to know that you have an enemy who wants you anxious, sleepless, despairing, and afraid. And you have a God who stands as a shield between you and that enemy. You're not fighting alone. In fact, you're not fighting at all. You're dwelling. You're abiding. You're resting under wings that never grow weary. Sometimes people ask me, is my anxiety spiritual or is it chemical? Is my depression a spiritual attack or is it just brain chemistry? And I always want to say, does it matter? Because either way, God is bigger. If it's chemical, He made your brain, and knows exactly what's happening in your neurotransmitters. If it's spiritual, he's more powerful than any demon. If it's both, and honestly, it usually is both, because we're integrated beings, not just spirits floating around. He addresses the whole of you. He's not limited to treating only physical problems or only spiritual problems. He's the God of your whole person, and his shelter covers all of you. So as we prepare to enter the psalm itself, to read it slowly and let it wash over you like water over stone, I want you to release the pressure you're putting on yourself. You don't have to make this work. You don't have to manufacture faith or feeling. You don't have to do anything but be here, breathing, listening, letting these ancient words create an atmosphere of safety around you. If you fall asleep in the middle of this, that's not failure. That's victory. That's trust. That's your body finally feeling safe enough to rest. And if you stay awake through all of it, that's okay too. Because these words are doing their work whether you're conscious or not. They're reminding your soul of what's true when your mind forgets. They're anchoring you to something bigger than your circumstances. Think of it like this. Have you ever sat by a fire and just stared into the flames? You're not doing anything productive. You're not solving problems or making plans. You're just sitting there, watching the fire, and somehow your whole body relaxes. The warmth seeps into your muscles, your breathing slows, your mind quiets. That's what this is like. You're sitting by the fire of God's presence, letting these words create warmth and light, and your job is just to be there, just to receive, just to rest. Are you ready? Let's enter the secret place together. Let's step into the shadow of the Almighty. I'm going to read you Psalm 91 in its entirety first, slowly and gently. Just let the words flow over you. Don't try to analyze or memorize, just receive. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Breathe. Just breathe. Let those words settle. Can you feel them? Like a blanket being pulled up over your shoulders, like strong arms around you, like a door closing out the storm. Now we're going to go back through this psalm together, slowly, dwelling in each verse. I'm going to expand on what each promise means for you, tonight, in your specific struggles. And we're going to let these truths sink deeper than your conscious mind, down into the places where fear lives, where anxiety breeds, where sleeplessness takes root. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Dwelling, this is where it all begins. Not with earning, or achieving, or proving, with dwelling, with choosing to make your home in God's presence. And notice where this dwelling place is. It's secret. It's hidden. It's not public, not performative. It's intimate. It's the place where you come when no one else is watching, when you're too tired to pretend, when you're too broken to put on a brave face. The secret place is where you come as you are, anxious, afraid, exhausted, doubting. It's the place where you don't have to have it all together, where you don't have to be strong, where you can finally stop trying to manage everything yourself. The secret place is the lap of the Father when you're too worn out to stand. I think about what secret means. It's not secret because it's exclusive or because God is hiding from you. It's secret because it's private. It's the inner room, the Holy of Holies, the place of intimate communion. In Matthew chapter 6, Jesus talks about going into your closet to pray, shutting the door, and praying to your Father who sees in secret. That's the secret place. It's where you and God meet, away from the noise, away from the demands, away from the performance. It's where you can be completely yourself, completely honest, completely vulnerable. And in our world today, secret places are rare. We live such public lives. Social media means everyone can see what we're doing, where we are, what we're thinking. We're constantly on display, constantly curating our image, constantly managing how we're perceived. It's exhausting, but the secret place is the one place where none of that matters. God already knows everything. You can't curate your image before Him. You can't pretend or perform. You can only be. And that's incredibly freeing. When you dwell there, when you make that your habitation, you abide under the shadow. Think about a shadow for a moment. A shadow only exists where there's something big enough to block the light. The shadow of a pebble is tiny. The shadow of a tree is larger. The shadow of a mountain, now that's a shadow you can get lost in. The shadow of the Almighty? That shadow covers everything. It stretches further than your eye can see. And it's not a shadow of darkness, it's a shadow of shelter. The shadow that offers respite from the scorching sun. The shadow that offers covering from the harsh elements. You abide there. You stay there through the night. That's your address. Under the shadow of the Almighty. Have you ever been outside on a brutally hot day, walking in the sun, feeling the heat beat down on you relentlessly? And then you step into the shadow of a building or a large tree, and immediately you feel relief. The temperature drops. Your skin stops burning. You can breathe easier. That's what the shadow of the Almighty does for your soul. The world is harsh. Life is hard. Circumstances can be scorching. But in His shadow, there's relief. There's respite. There's coolness and rest. And you abide there. You don't just visit. You don't just pop in when things get really bad. You live there. You make it your permanent address. That's what dwelling means. It's not a hotel, it's home. And when you make God's presence your home, everything changes. The problems don't necessarily disappear, but you face them from a place of rest, from a place of shadow, from a place of shelter. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Now the psalm shifts to first person. I will say. This is personal declaration. This is your voice, speaking truth over yourself. Not just hearing truth, but saying it. There's power in that. When you speak these words out loud, even in a whisper, something shifts. You're not passively hoping for help. You're actively claiming your refuge. He is my refuge. Not a refuge. My refuge. Personal. Specific. Mine. A refuge is a place to flee to when danger comes. It's the safe house. The shelter from the storm. And He's not just offering you a refuge. He is your refuge. His very presence is the safety you need. You don't have to find the right words or the perfect prayer or the correct formula. You just have to run to Him, and you're already safe, because He Himself is the shelter. Think about the cities of refuge in the Old Testament. God commanded Israel to set up specific cities where someone who had accidentally killed another person could flee. If they made it to the city of refuge, they were safe. The avenger couldn't touch them there, but they had to run to the city. They had to get inside the gates, and once they were inside, they were completely protected. No one could drag them out. No one could harm them. The city itself was their safety. God is your city of refuge. But here's what's amazing. You don't have to physically run anywhere. You don't have to be strong enough to sprint to safety. You just have to turn your heart toward Him. You just have to say, "You are my refuge," and you're already inside the gates, already protected, already safe. The refuge isn't a location you have to travel to. The refuge is a person who's already with you, and He's your fortress. A fortress is more than a house. It's a military stronghold. It's defensible. It's built to withstand siege, thick walls, high towers, strategic advantages. When you declare that God is your fortress, you're saying that no enemy can penetrate where you are. No attack can reach you. You're not just in a safe place, you're in an impregnable place. And the wonderful thing about a fortress is that once you're inside, you can rest. The soldiers on the wall are keeping watch. You don't have to. You can sleep. I think about medieval castles. They were built to protect against armies. They had moats, drawbridges, multiple walls, towers with archers. An attacking army could lay siege for months and not breach those defenses. And inside, people could live relatively normal lives. They could eat, sleep, celebrate, raise children, all while under siege. Because the fortress was doing its job, they didn't have to fight. They just had to stay inside. That's your reality. You might feel like you're under siege. The enemy is at the gates. Anxiety is attacking. Fear is laying siege. Despair is trying to breach your walls. But you're in a fortress. And the fortress is doing its job. God Himself is your defense. You don't have to fight these battles. You just have to stay inside. Stay in His presence. Stay in His promises. Stay in His truth. And the fortress holds, "My God, in whom I trust." There's that personal possessive again. My God, the one I'm in relationship with, the one who knows me and whom I know. And trust, that's the key that unlocks everything. Trust isn't the absence of fear. Trust is the presence of certainty about who God is, even when you can't see what He's doing. Trust says, "I don't know how this is going to work out, but I know who's in control, and that's enough." Trust is what allows you to close your eyes tonight, to stop scanning for danger, to stop trying to solve every problem, to simply rest in the certainty that you are held. Trust is hard, though, especially if you've been hurt, especially if people you trusted have betrayed you, especially if your own plans have failed so many times that you've stopped believing anything will work out. Trust requires vulnerability. It requires giving up control, and that feels terrifying when you're already afraid. But here's the thing about trusting God. He's not like people. He doesn't have bad days. He doesn't change His mind. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't forget His promises. He's perfectly trustworthy. Not because He's obligated to be, but because it's who He is. He literally cannot lie. It's impossible for Him to break a promise. So when He says you're safe, you're safe. When He says He'll never leave you, He won't. When He says He's working all things for good, He is. Your trust isn't misplaced. It's the most rational thing you can do. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Surely. Not maybe. Not if you're good enough. Surely. Certainly. Without doubt. He shall deliver thee. Future tense. It's a promise, not a possibility. From the snare of the fowler. That hidden trap. The fowler was a bird catcher who would set clever traps. The bird wouldn't see it until it was caught. That's how the enemy works, isn't it? Subtle. Sneaky. You don't realize you're trapped until the snare tightens. Maybe it's a thought pattern that became an addiction. Maybe it's a relationship that started innocently but became toxic. Maybe it's bitterness that crept in so slowly you didn't notice until it had you. Let me paint you a picture of what the fowler does. He studies his prey. He knows their habits, their patterns, their weaknesses. He finds the path they always take. And he sets his trap there, camouflaged, invisible. The bird is just going about its day, doing what it always does. And suddenly, snap, caught, panicking, struggling. And the more it struggles, the tighter the snare gets. That's what sin does. That's what anxiety does. That's what destructive patterns do. They trap you when you're not looking. You didn't wake up one day and decide to be addicted. You didn't plan to be anxious all the time. You didn't choose bitterness. But somewhere along the way, step by step, you walked into a snare. And now you're caught, and you don't know how to get free. But he delivers you. He sees the snares you don't see. He warns you away from traps you're walking toward. And when you've already stepped into one, he's strong enough to break you free. You're not stuck. You're not beyond help. He delivers you. I've seen this happen. I've known people who were trapped in addictions for decades. Substances, pornography, destructive relationships, workaholism, codependency, snares of every kind, and they tried to free themselves. They went to therapy. They read books. They made promises. They tried harder, and nothing worked, because you can't free yourself from a snare. The more you struggle, the tighter it gets. But then, in desperation, they finally cried out to God, not with some perfect prayer, but with a raw, desperate, "Help me. I can't do this anymore." And slowly, sometimes instantly, God began to deliver them. Not because they got their act together, but because He's the deliverer. It's what He does. And from the pestilence, from disease, from plague, from the things that threaten your very life. Now let me be clear. This doesn't mean Christians never get sick. We live in bodies that break down. We live in a world full of viruses and bacteria and cancer cells. But even when sickness comes, it doesn't have the final word. He's with you in it. He's delivering you through it, if not from it. And ultimately, even death itself is just the final deliverance into His arms. The pestilence cannot separate you from His love. It cannot remove you from under His wings. I think about people facing terminal diagnoses. Some of them have been healed miraculously. God absolutely still heals, but some haven't been healed physically, and yet they'll tell you they've experienced more of God's presence in their illness than they ever did in health. They've been delivered from the fear of death even while facing death. They've been delivered from despair even while their bodies are failing. They've been delivered into a peace that makes no sense to anyone watching. That's the pestilence not having the final word. It might take the body, but it can't touch the soul that's hidden in God. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Here's that beautiful mother hen image again. Cover thee with His feathers. Can you imagine that? Close your eyes right now and picture it. Soft feathers, warm and downy, surrounding you. You can't see anything else. You can only feel the safety, the warmth, the gentle enclosure. That's where you are right now. under his wings, and under those wings, you trust. Trust isn't something you work up. It's something you fall into when you're surrounded by safety. A baby doesn't have to try to trust its mother's arms. The arms themselves create the trust. And so it is with you, under God's wings. The very presence of those feathers makes trust possible. You're not trusting in your own strength or wisdom. You're trusting in the wing that's over you. Let me tell you what it's like under those wings. It's dark, but not scary dark. Comfortable dark, like being under a blanket. You're enclosed, but not trapped. Protected, not imprisoned. And there's a sound, the sound of his heartbeat. Steady, strong, constant. When everything else is chaos, that heartbeat is your rhythm. You sync your breathing to it. You let it calm your racing pulse. You rest in the knowledge that the one covering you is alive, present, aware, and there's warmth. You know when you're cold and someone gives you a hug and you can feel their body heat seeping into you? That's what this is like. The warmth of his love, his presence, his care, it penetrates your cold, anxious places. It thaws the frozen parts of your heart. It brings life to the numb places. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Truth is your defense. In a world full of lies, the lies anxiety tells you, the lies fear whispers, the lies the enemy plants in your mind, truth is your weapon. But you don't have to wield it. It's God's truth, and it's your shield. A shield is held between you and the attack. The truth about who God is, about who you are to Him, about His promises and His character, that truth intercepts the lies before they reach your heart. And a buckler, that's a small shield that covered your vital organs. Your heart, His truth specifically protects your heart, the core of who you are, your emotions, your faith, your hope, all shielded by what is true. Think about the lies you've believed. Maybe you've believed you're too far gone, too broken, too stained by your past to be loved by God. That's a lie, and the truth intercepts it. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Maybe you've believed you're alone, that no one sees your pain, that no one cares. That's a lie, and the truth intercepts it. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. Maybe you've believed that what you're going through is pointless, meaningless, just random suffering. That's a lie, and the truth intercepts it. All things work together for good to them that love God. Number 5, and rebittering. If you one of the love, and raverly de French, and rebittering, the lies are arrows aimed at your heart, but the shield of truth stands between you and every arrow. And you don't have to consciously think about blocking every lie. The shield is just there. God's truth surrounds you. When a lie comes, it hits the shield and falls harmlessly to the ground. Your job is just to stay behind the shield, to stay in truth, to keep coming back to what God has said, what He's promised, who He is. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. We talked about the terror by night earlier. Now let it sink in deeper. Thou shalt not be afraid. Not, thou shalt not experience scary things, but thou shalt not be afraid of them. The terror may come, the panic attack at 2 a.m., the nightmare that jolts you awake, the dread that settles on your chest like a weight. But you don't have to be afraid of it, because you're not facing it alone. You're under wings. You're in the secret place. The terror can't reach you there. Let me be specific about what the terror by night looks like for different people. For some of you, it's panic attacks. Your heart starts racing for no reason. You can't catch your breath. You feel like you're dying or going crazy. And the terror isn't just the panic attack itself, it's the fear of having another one. You become afraid of your own body, of your own mind. For others, The terror by night is intrusive thoughts. Horrible, unwanted thoughts that make you question your own sanity. Thoughts about hurting yourself or someone else. Thoughts that feel completely foreign to who you are. Yet there they are, tormenting you night after night. For some, it's nightmares. Not just bad dreams, but visceral, traumatic nightmares that leave you shaking and afraid to close your eyes again. For others, it's a nameless dread, a sense that something terrible is about to happen, a feeling of doom that has no specific object but fills your entire being with anxiety. For some, it's spiritual oppression, a sense of darkness or evil presence that you can't explain but you feel acutely. Whatever your terror by night looks like, this promise is for you. Thou shalt not be afraid. Not because the terror won't come, but because you have a place to hide. You have wings covering you. You have a fortress surrounding you. The terror is real, but it's not bigger than your God. It's not stronger than His love. It cannot penetrate His shelter. And the arrow that flies by day, that's the seen danger, the diagnosed illness, the pink slip at work, the conflict you know is coming. The daytime fears are just as real as the nighttime ones. But the promise holds for both. Day or night, seen or unseen, sudden or anticipated, you shall not be afraid. Not because you're brave, but because your refuge is secure. The arrow by day is different from the terror by night. You can see it coming. It's the bills piling up on the table. It's the test results you're waiting for. It's the conversation you know you need to have but are dreading. It's the deadline approaching and you're not ready. It's the gradual decline you're watching in your aging parent. You see the arrow flying toward you, and every instinct in you wants to run, to hide, to somehow dodge it, but you can't. It's coming, and you know it. And yet thou shalt not be afraid, because even the arrows you can see, even the dangers that announce themselves, even the problems you know are coming, they still have to pass through God to reach you. And if He allows them to hit, it's because He has a purpose, and He will be with you through the impact. The arrow may pierce your circumstances, but it cannot pierce your soul. You are protected in ways that matter most, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. The pestilence in darkness, that's the invisible threat, the thing you can't see coming, the pandemic, the silent killer, the betrayal you never saw coming, and the destruction at noonday, that's the obvious, visible devastation, the thing everyone sees, the public failure, the undeniable loss. Whether it's hidden or obvious, whether it sneaks up on you or announces itself, you're protected, you're covered. The pestilence that walks in darkness is terrifying precisely because you can't see it. It's the cancer growing in your body before any symptoms appear. It's the betrayal being planned behind your back. It's the financial collapse building in systems you don't understand. It's the mental health crisis developing in your child that you haven't detected yet. These are the things that haunt us because we know they exist. We know they happen to people, but we don't know when or if they'll happen to us. And the destruction at noonday is equally terrifying, but in a different way. Everyone can see it. There's no hiding from it, no pretending it's not happening. It's the public breakdown, the scandal, the catastrophic failure, the loss that everyone witnesses. And not only do you have to deal with the actual destruction, you have to deal with it under the gaze of everyone else, their pity, their judgment, their gossip. But the promise covers both, hidden or public, invisible or obvious, sneaking or bold. No destruction has the final say over your life when you dwell in the secret place. God sees what you can't see. He's already working in the situations you don't know about yet. And when destruction comes in broad daylight, when everyone is watching, He's not embarrassed by you. He's not ashamed of you. He's covering you even then, especially then, with wings that make the opinions of others irrelevant. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. This is a hard verse for some people. It sounds like God plays favorites. 1,000 fall and you don't? Why them and not you? But listen to what this is really saying. It's not that you're better or more deserving. It's that you're hidden. Remember the mother hen? The storm that kills her, it doesn't touch the chicks underneath. Not because the chicks are special, but because they're covered. When you're dwelling in the secret place, when you're under the shadow, you're in a different reality than those who are exposed. It's not favoritism. It's the natural result of being sheltered. And here's something else. This doesn't mean you'll never experience loss or hardship, but it does mean that the destruction that would completely overwhelm you, that would utterly destroy you, will not come near your dwelling. God knows exactly how much you can handle with Him, and He doesn't allow more than that. You're held in such a specific, perfect way that even when you walk through valleys, you're never walking into annihilation. Think about this image practically. You're on a battlefield. All around you, people are falling, arrows are flying, swords are swinging. It's chaos and carnage. And yet you're walking through unscathed. Not because you're skilled at dodging, not because you're wearing better armor, but because you're invisible to the enemy. You're hidden. You're dwelling in a place they can't see, can't reach. That's the reality of being in Christ. You're hidden with Christ in God. The enemy can't get to you there. Now, does this mean nothing bad will ever happen to you? No, but it does mean that whatever happens, it's been filtered through God's hands first. It's been measured. It's been weighed. And He's determined that with Him, you can handle it, and it will ultimately work for your good. The 1,000 that fall at your side, God had a different plan for them, a different timeline, a different purpose. You can't judge His ways by your limited perspective. You can only trust that He sees the whole picture and that your being sheltered is part of His good, loving plan. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. You'll see it. You'll witness that evil doesn't ultimately win, but you won't experience it. You're an observer, not a victim. This is God's justice, and you can trust it. You don't have to take revenge. You don't have to ensure the scales balance. You can rest, knowing that God sees everything, knows everything, and handles everything according to perfect justice and perfect mercy. Your job is just to stay in your dwelling place and trust Him with outcomes. This verse addresses a deep human need for justice. When you've been wronged, when you've seen evil prosper, when wickedness seems to go unpunished, it eats at you. You want to see justice done. You want the wicked to get what they deserve. And that's not wrong. God created us with a sense of justice. But He's saying, I've got this. You don't need to take matters into your own hands. You'll see that I handle it. You'll witness that evil doesn't win, but you don't need to be the one administering the justice. This is incredibly freeing because seeking revenge is exhausting. Trying to ensure that people get what's coming to them consumes enormous amounts of emotional energy. Bitterness takes root. Resentment builds. And meanwhile, you're not resting. You're not at peace. You're consumed with making sure justice happens. But God says, let me handle that. You just dwell. You just abide. You just rest under my wings. And in the end, you'll see that I took care of everything perfectly. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Notice the because. This is cause and effect. Because you've made Him your habitation. Because you've chosen to live in Him, to dwell in Him, to make your home in His presence. There's a result. No evil shall befall thee. Does this mean nothing bad will ever happen? Or does it mean that what looks like evil from one angle is actually being worked for good when you're dwelling in God? I think it's the latter. Romans 8:28 promises that all things work together for good for those who love God. Not that all things are good, but that all things are working toward good when you're in Christ. Let me explain what I mean. Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery. That was evil. Then he was falsely accused and imprisoned. That was evil. Years of his life were stolen. But Joseph could say to his brothers later, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." The evil things happened, but they didn't befall him in the ultimate sense. They didn't destroy him. They didn't separate him from God's purposes. They were, in God's sovereign hands, the very means by which he was positioned to save his family and nation. That's the mystery of dwelling in God. Evil exists. Bad things happen. But when you're hidden in him, evil cannot befall you in the sense of ultimately harming you. It passes through his filter. It's transformed by his purposes. It's worked into a larger story of redemption. That doesn't make the pain less real, but it does mean the pain isn't pointless. It isn't random. It isn't the end of your story. Neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Your dwelling where you live, what you've made your home. If your home is in God's presence, then plague can't invade that space. It might affect your body. It might touch your circumstances, but it cannot infect your soul. It cannot corrupt your peace. It cannot destroy what really matters. Your true dwelling place, your spiritual home in God, is untouchable. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Angels, messengers, warriors, servants of God assigned specifically to you, given charge, given orders, given responsibility, given a mission, and that mission is to keep you, to guard you, to watch over you, in all your ways, not just the righteous ways, not just when you're being good, all your ways, when you're obedient and when you're stumbling, when you're strong and when you're weak. The angels are keeping watch. You know what's beautiful about this? You're never alone. Even when you feel utterly isolated, even when it's 3 a.m. and no human soul is aware of your pain, you're surrounded. There are forces you cannot see standing watch over you. And they don't sleep. They don't grow tired. They don't get distracted. They're keeping you. I want you to really think about this for a moment. Right now, as you're lying here listening to this, there are angels in the room with you. You can't see them. You can't hear them. You have no physical evidence of their presence, but they're there. And they're not passive observers. They've been given charge. They have orders from the Most High God to keep you, to guard you, to protect you. In the Bible, we get glimpses of angelic activity. When Elisha's servant was afraid of the army surrounding them, Elisha prayed that his eyes would be opened, and suddenly the servant could see that the hills were full of horses and chariots of fire, angels surrounding them, outnumbering the enemy. The angels were there all along. The servant just couldn't see them. That's your reality too. You're surrounded, outnumbered in your favor, protected by forces you can't perceive. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Such specific care. Even the small injuries, the little stumbles, they're preventing those, bearing you up in their hands, like carrying a child over rough ground. The child's feet never have to touch the sharp rocks because the parent has lifted them up. That's you. You're being carried over terrain that would cut you. You're being lifted over obstacles that would trip you. Sometimes you're not even aware of the danger you just passed because you were borne up over it. Think about how many times you've almost had an accident but didn't. How many times you were delayed and later found out there was a crash on the road ahead at the exact time you would have been there. How many times you almost made a terrible decision but something stopped you at the last minute. How many times an illness should have been worse but wasn't. You attribute these things to luck, to coincidence, to good timing. But maybe, just maybe, it was angels, bearing you up, keeping your foot from dashing against the stone. And this promise isn't just about big, dramatic interventions. It's about the daily, moment-by-moment protection that you never even notice. The bacteria your immune system fought off without you knowing. The person who almost hit your car but swerved at the last second. The word that almost left your mouth that would have destroyed a relationship, but you swallowed it instead. The temptation that was whisper quiet one day, when usually it's a roar. How much of that is angels, fulfilling their charge to keep you in all your ways? Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Now this is interesting. Earlier, it was about being protected from danger. Now it's about having authority over danger. When you dwell in the secret place, you're not just safe, you're powerful. The lion, the adder, the dragon, these are symbols of the most dangerous enemies. The lion attacks overtly. The adder, the serpent, strikes covertly with poison. The dragon represents spiritual forces, powers, and principalities. And you, small and fragile as you are, will trample them underfoot. How? Not in your own strength, but because you're dwelling in the Almighty. His authority becomes yours. His power flows through you. The enemy that would devour you, you walk on top of it. You're not the prey. You're the victor. This is the upside-down kingdom of God. The weak made strong, the fearful made bold, the anxious made peaceful, all because of whose shadow you're standing in. This verse is quoting something Jesus said would happen through his followers. He said, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. You have authority, real authority, over the enemy's attacks, over the lies, over the oppression, over the fear, not because you're strong, but because you're in Christ, and he has all authority. And notice it says young lion and dragon. The young lion is the pride, the offspring of the devil who roams like a roaring lion. You're not just treading on minor demons or small temptations. You're trampling the dragon himself under your feet. That's the authority you have in Christ. The enemy who once had dominion over you through sin and death, he's under your feet now. You're on top. He's beneath. And that's your permanent position when you're in Christ. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. Now God himself is speaking. Did you catch that shift? The psalm has been talking about God in third person, and now suddenly it's God's own voice. Because he hath set his love upon me. Wait, who set their love on whom? You set your love on God. You chose him. You made him your dwelling place. And because of that choice, because of that love, God says, I will deliver him. Your love for God moves God's heart. Your turning to him, your trust in him, your choice to dwell with him, it matters to him. He responds to your love with deliverance, not because you earned it, but because love recognizes love. He loved you first, yes, but when you return that love, when you say you are my God and mean it, something happens in the heavens. Deliverance is decreed. This is stunning when you really think about it. The God of the universe, the creator of everything, the Almighty, the Most High, he is moved by your love. Your small, imperfect, wavering love for him stirs his heart to action. He says, because you've set your love on me, I will deliver you. Not because you're perfect, not because you've earned it, but because you love him, and he responds to love. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. Knowing his name isn't just knowing the word God or Jesus. It's knowing his character, his nature, his ways. When you know his name, you know who he is. And when you know who he is, you can trust him. And that trust, that knowledge, God responds to it by setting you on high, elevating you, lifting you above your circumstances, not removing the circumstances, but giving you a perspective from above them. When you're set on high, you can see things differently. The problems look smaller. The promises look bigger. You're above the flood, not drowning in it. To know God's name is to know that he is Yahweh, the covenant keeper who never breaks his word. To know that he is El Shaddai, the Almighty, who has all power. To know that he is Jehovah Rapha, the Lord who heals. Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. Jehovah Shalom, the Lord who is peace. When you know these names, when you understand who God is in all his fullness, you can trust him in ways you never could before. And he responds to that knowledge, that intimacy, by lifting you up, by giving you a seat beside him, by sharing his perspective with you. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. Simple, direct, beautiful. You call, and he answers. Not maybe. Not if he's in the mood. Not if you use the right words. You call, and he answers. Every single time. Now, his answer might not be what you expected. It might not come in your timing. But he answers. Sometimes the answer is wait. Sometimes it's not that way, this way. Sometimes it's just I'm here. But he never doesn't answer. His children are never ignored. Think about a parent with a small child. The child calls out mommy or daddy, and the parent responds, always. Even if the parent is busy, even if the parent can't give the child exactly what they want right then, the parent answers, I hear you, sweetheart. I'm coming. Or, not right now, but soon. Or just, I'm here, baby. The child is never, ever ignored. And you're God's child. When you call, he answers. And here's what's so important about this. You don't have to have the perfect prayer. You don't have to use theological language. You don't have to clean yourself up first. You just have to call. Even if it's just help. Even if it's just God. Even if it's just a groan that you can't form into words, he hears, he answers, he responds. I will be with him in trouble. Not I will keep him from trouble. Not I will make sure he never has trouble. But I will be with him in trouble. The trouble comes. We live in a broken world. But in the trouble, you're not alone. The presence of God in trouble changes everything. It doesn't eliminate the trouble, but it transforms your experience of it. When God is with you in the fire, you don't burn. When God is with you in the storm, you don't drown. His witness is the difference between devastation and survival. I cannot overstate how important this promise is, because so many people think that if they're in trouble, God must be absent. If they're suffering, God must be angry with them. If they're going through hard times, they must have done something wrong. But that's not what the Bible teaches. The Bible teaches that trouble is inevitable. Jesus said, in the world, you will have tribulation. But then he said, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. The trouble comes. But in the trouble, God is with you. And his presence changes the nature of the trouble. It's no longer you versus the problem. It's you and God versus the problem. And that's not an even match. The problem doesn't stand a chance. Think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. God didn't keep them out of the furnace. They were thrown in. But when the king looked into the furnace, he saw 4 men walking around, and one looked like the Son of God. God was with them in the fire, and when they came out, they didn't even smell like smoke. The fire had no power over them because God was with them in it. That's the promise for you. Whatever furnace you're in, you're not alone. God is with you. And when you come out, the fire won't have destroyed you. You might even come out without the smell of smoke, wondering how you survived. And the answer will be, God was with me in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. Deliver, set free, rescue, bring out on the other side, and then honor. That's stunning. Not just save you, but honor you, lift you up, treat you with dignity and respect. In a world that might shame you, dismiss you, overlook you, God says, I will honor you. You matter to him, your faithfulness to him, even in small things, even in the dark when no one sees, he sees, and he honors it. To be honored by God is worth more than all the acclaim of men. People might misunderstand you. They might judge you. They might see your struggles and think you're weak or faithless. But God honors you. He sees the nights you spent crying out to him. He sees the times you chose to trust when everything in you wanted to give up. He sees the small, hidden acts of faithfulness. And he says, I will honor this. I will honor you. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Long life, quality and quantity, a full life, a satisfied life, not just existence, but life abundant, and ultimately, the promise is that you will see his salvation in this life, yes, but ultimately in eternity, you will see the full scope of what he saved you from and what he saved you for. You'll understand it all one day, and in the meantime, you're satisfied, content, at peace. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is in his hands. Satisfaction is such a rare thing in our world. We're taught to always want more, to never be content, to keep striving and achieving and accumulating. But God promises satisfaction, not from having everything you want, but from knowing him, from dwelling with him, from being in relationship with the one who is enough. When you have God, you have everything you need, not everything you want, but everything you need. And that brings a deep, lasting satisfaction that nothing else can provide. And you will see his salvation. You're seeing it now, in small ways. Every time he rescues you from fear, every time he gives you peace in chaos, every time he provides in lack, every time he heals a relationship or gives you strength for one more day. Those are glimpses of his salvation. But one day, you'll see the full picture. You'll see how every thread of your life was woven into a beautiful tapestry. You'll see how even the dark threads created depth and beauty. You'll see his salvation fully displayed, and you'll be satisfied. Let's read through the psalm again. Slower this time. Let the words wash over you like warm water. Let them seep into the cracks where fear has taken root. Let them dissolve the anxiety like salt in water. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Dwelling, abiding, staying, remaining. This is your posture tonight. You're not striving, you're dwelling. You're not performing, you're abiding. Close your eyes and picture that secret place. Maybe it's a quiet room filled with light. Maybe it's a garden. Maybe it's strong arms holding you. However you picture it, know that it's real. More real than the bed you're lying on, more solid than the walls around you. You're in the secret place right now. You're there because you chose to be there. You made the decision to turn your heart toward God tonight. You chose to listen to his word instead of the voice of anxiety. You chose to seek shelter instead of trying to weather the storm alone. And in making that choice, you entered the secret place. You're dwelling there now, and you can stay as long as you like. Forever, if you want. It's your home. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Say it with me, even if just in your mind. He is my refuge. Feel those words in your mouth. Let them form on your lips, even if silently. My fortress, safe, secure, protected. My God, not distant, not impersonal, mine, in whom I trust. I'm letting go. I'm releasing control. I'm trusting. When you speak these words, you're not just describing reality, you're creating it, not in some new age manifestation sense, but in the sense that speaking truth aligns your heart with what is real. When you say, He is my refuge, you're reminding yourself of what's true. You're choosing to believe it. You're anchoring yourself to it. And the more you say it, the more deeply it becomes part of you. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Surely, certainly, definitely. The traps you don't see coming, he sees them. The diseases that threaten, he shields you from their ultimate power. You're delivered. You're protected. You're safe. Think about the word surely. It's emphatic. It's decisive. There's no doubt in it. God isn't saying, maybe I'll deliver you, or I'll try to deliver you, or if all goes well, I'll deliver you. He's saying, surely. Bet your life on it. Because it's absolutely certain, if you're dwelling in Him, deliverance is coming. It might not look like you expect. It might not come when you expect. But it's coming, surely. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. Feel those feathers, soft, warm, encompassing. You're completely surrounded. Nothing can reach you here. Under His wings, you trust. You let go. You relax. You're held. Take a moment right now to really imagine this. Picture yourself as small, small enough to fit under a wing, and picture that wing lowering over you, covering you completely. You're in a cocoon of feathers. It's warm, it's safe, it's quiet. The sounds of the world are muffled. All you can hear is the heartbeat of the one covering you. So steady. Let that steadiness calm your own racing heart. Let that rhythm become your rhythm. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. The lies they bounce off, the fears they can't penetrate, the accusations they don't reach your heart. Truth covers you. Truth guards you. You're safe in what is real and true and eternal. Every lie that's been spoken over you by others, by yourself, by the enemy, it has no power when you're covered by truth. The truth is that you're loved. The truth is that you're valuable. The truth is that you're forgiven. The truth is that you have purpose. The truth is that you're not alone. The truth is that God is with you. And that truth is your shield. It's not fragile. It's not conditional. It's solid, unbreakable truth. And it's between you and every lie. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. Not afraid. The terror may be there, but you're not controlled by it. The danger may be real, but you're not defined by it. Day or night, seen or unseen, you shall not be afraid. Let this sink in. You shall not be afraid. God isn't saying, try not to be afraid or work on your fear. He's making a declaration. You shall not be afraid. It's a promise. It's a reality He's creating for those who dwell in Him. Fear will come knocking, but it doesn't get to come in. Terror will try to grip you, but it can't hold you when you're held by Him. You shall not be afraid, because you're in the one place where fear cannot rule, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. Hidden threats, obvious disasters, neither can touch your soul, neither can destroy what matters most. You're protected in ways you can't even comprehend. The things you worry about, the worst-case scenarios that keep you up at night, even if they come to pass, They cannot touch the core of who you are. They cannot separate you from God's love. They cannot steal your peace if you're dwelling in the secret place. The pestilence may affect your body, but it cannot infect your soul. The destruction may touch your circumstances, but it cannot waste your spirit. You're protected in the place that matters most. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. So much chaos around you, but you're in a bubble of safety, in the eye of the storm, held in the palm of his hand, while the world rages. It shall not come nigh thee. It shall not reach you. You're living in chaotic times. Everyone around you seems to be falling apart. Relationships are crumbling. Health is failing. Finances are collapsing. And you're wondering when it's your turn. When is the other shoe going to drop? But God says it shall not come nigh thee. Not because you're lucky, not because you're better, but because you're hidden. You're dwelling in a place where the destruction cannot reach. You're covered by wings that are impenetrable. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. You'll see justice done. You don't have to administer it. You don't have to be consumed by the injustice around you. You can rest, knowing God sees everything and handles everything perfectly. The people who've hurt you, God will handle them. The evil you've witnessed, God will deal with it. The injustice that breaks your heart, God will right it. Your job isn't to make sure everyone gets what they deserve. Your job is to dwell in the secret place and trust that God is a righteous judge. And one day, you'll see that He handled everything perfectly. You'll see the reward of the wicked not with satisfaction that they suffered, but with relief that justice was done and God's character was vindicated. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. You've made Him your home. And because of that choice, evil cannot ultimately win in your life. Plague cannot infect your true dwelling place, your soul at rest in God. This is the key. It's all about where you've made your home. If you've made your home in your circumstances, you'll be tossed around by every change. If you've made your home in other people's opinions, you'll be destroyed by their criticism. If you've made your home in your own strength, you'll collapse when that strength fails. But if you've made your home in God, if He's your habitation, then nothing can touch what really matters. Your home is secure, your dwelling is protected, and you're safe. For He shall give His angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Right now, in this moment, angels surround you. You can't see them, but they're there, watching, guarding, keeping you safe, in all your ways, all of them. Try to imagine this. Your room, right now, is full of angels. They're standing at attention, watching over you. They've been given a charge directly from God. Their mission is to keep you. They're not distracted. They're not tired. They're not bored. They're fully engaged in their mission to protect you, and they will not fail. They cannot fail, because they're carrying out God's orders, and God's orders are always accomplished. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. You're being carried, lifted, protected from injuries you'll never even know you avoided. You're so carefully tended to, so specifically watched over. How many times today did angels intervene on your behalf without you knowing? How many dangers did you walk past without realizing they were there? How many accidents were prevented? How many temptations were weakened? How many evil plans were thwarted? You'll never know in this life. But one day, in eternity, you'll see the replay of your life, and you'll be stunned at how often you were borne up, how many stones you didn't dash your foot against because angels were carrying you. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder. The young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. The things that would destroy you, you have authority over them. not in yourself, but in Him. The enemy is under your feet. You're the victor, not the victim. You're not helpless. You're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of the enemy. You have authority, real authority. Jesus gave it to you. And when you walk in that authority, when you stand on God's promises, when you dwell in His presence, you're trampling the enemy under your feet. He can't touch you. He can roar, but he can't devour. He can hiss, but he can't poison. He can threaten, but he can't harm, because you're standing on him, not the other way around. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. Your love for God moves his heart. He responds to your trust with deliverance and elevation. You're lifted up. You're set above. You're honored. You loved him. Maybe imperfectly. Maybe with lots of doubts and questions. Maybe haltingly. But you loved him. You chose him. You set your love upon him. And he's responding. He's delivering you. He's setting you on high. He's giving you a perspective from above your circumstances. He's honoring your love with his deliverance. That's who God is. That's how he responds to love. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. You call. He answers every time. In the trouble, he's with you. Through the trouble, he delivers you. After the trouble, he honors you. This is his promise. This is his character. This is who he is for you. This is the relationship you have with God. It's not one-sided. It's not you desperately reaching for an absent deity. It's interactive. It's responsive. You call, he answers. You're in trouble. He's with you. You need deliverance. He delivers. And then he honors you. He treats you with dignity and respect. He lifts you up. He says, well done. You trusted me. You called on me. You dwelt with me, and I'm honored to be your God. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. A full life, a satisfied life, a life that sees his salvation. That's what's promised to you. Not perfection, but satisfaction. Not ease, but salvation. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of God through it all. You will be satisfied. Not because you'll have everything you want, but because you'll have everything you need. And what you need is God. And you have him. He's promised to be with you, to dwell with you, to cover you with his feathers, to shield you with his truth, to deliver you, to honor you, to show you his salvation. And that will be enough, more than enough. It will satisfy you deeply, completely, eternally. One more time. Let the words become like breathing, in and out, truth and peace, receiving and releasing. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation. Now, as these words settle deep into your spirit, I want to leave you with some truths to carry into your sleep, into your dreams, into tomorrow when you wake. The practice of dwelling isn't complicated. It's not a technique you have to master. It's simply turning your attention toward God and choosing to stay there. When your mind wanders to worry, you gently bring it back to His presence. When fear knocks, you remind yourself you're under wings. When anxiety rises, you whisper, "He is my refuge." That's it. That's the practice. Gentle redirection, constant returning, like a child climbing back into a parent's lap every time they wander off. You don't have to stay perfectly focused. You just have to keep coming back. Think of it like training a puppy. When the puppy wanders off, you don't yell at it or punish it. You just gently call it back. Come here, come back. And eventually, the puppy learns to stay close. Your mind is like that puppy. It wanders. It chases after worries and fears, but you gently call it back. Come back to the secret place. Come back to the refuge. Come back to the wings. And gradually, over time, your mind learns to dwell. It learns to abide. It learns to rest. And here's the beautiful thing: you don't have to earn this shelter. You don't have to prove you deserve it. You don't have to be strong enough or faith-filled enough or good enough. You just have to be His. And if you've made Him your Lord, you are His. The shelter is yours. The wings are over you. The secret place has your name on it. You just have to enter in. You've already done that by being here tonight, by listening to these words, by choosing to turn your heart toward Him instead of toward your fears. You've made a choice tonight that many people never make. You've chosen to seek shelter instead of pretending you don't need it. You've chosen to be honest about your fears instead of hiding them. You've chosen to run to God instead of running from Him. And that choice has consequences, good consequences. You're in the secret place now. You're under the shadow now. You're covered now. And nothing can change that unless you choose to leave. And even if you do leave, the door is always open for you to come back. Let me remind you of the specific promises that are yours right now, in this moment. You are delivered from the snare. Whatever trap you feel caught in, whether it's a thought pattern, a sin struggle, a toxic relationship, an addiction, a fear that has you paralyzed, you are being delivered. The trap doesn't hold you. God is stronger than the snare. He's already working on your freedom, even if you can't see it yet. Maybe the deliverance is instantaneous. Maybe God just snaps the snare and you're free in a moment. But more often, deliverance is a process. It's gradual. It's one day at a time, one choice at a time, one step at a time. And that's okay. That's normal. That's how God usually works. He's patient. He's not in a hurry. He's more concerned with your complete freedom than your fast freedom. So if you're still in the snare, still struggling, still feeling trapped, that doesn't mean God isn't delivering you. It just means the deliverance is in process. Keep dwelling, keep trusting, keep calling on Him. The deliverance is coming. You are covered with feathers. Right now, this second, there are feathers over you. Soft, protective, warm. The love of God surrounds you like a physical presence. You might not feel it, but it's there. As real as gravity, as constant as the beating of your heart, you are covered. And this covering isn't conditional. It doesn't depend on your mood or your faith level or your performance. It depends on God's character. He's a faithful God. He doesn't cover you one moment and abandon you the next. He doesn't pull away when you doubt or struggle or fail. The covering is constant. It's permanent. It's yours. And nothing can remove it except your own choice to leave the shelter. And even then, He's ready to cover you again the moment you return. You do not have to be afraid. The terror by night, it has no power over you. The arrow by day, it cannot ultimately harm you. Fear might show up, anxiety might knock, but you don't have to open the door. You don't have to give it a seat at your table. You can say, I see you, but I'm not entertaining you, because I am under the shadow of the Almighty, and here there is no fear. This doesn't mean you'll never feel afraid. Feelings come and go. You can't always control what you feel, but you can control what you do with those feelings. When fear shows up, you don't have to obey it. You don't have to let it dictate your choices. You can acknowledge it, yes, I feel afraid right now, and then choose to dwell in the secret place anyway. I feel afraid, but I'm choosing to trust. I feel anxious, but I'm choosing to rest. I feel terror, but I'm choosing to remember that I'm covered. Angels watch over you. This very moment, as you lie here, beings you cannot see, stand guard. They bear you up. They keep you from stumbling. They protect you in ways you'll never know until eternity. You are never, ever alone. Even in your darkest moment, when you feel completely isolated, you are surrounded by heavenly warriors assigned specifically to your care. And these aren't just any angels. They're angels who've been given charge. They have orders. They have a mission, and that mission is you. They're not multitasking or getting distracted. They're focused on you, on keeping you, on bearing you up, on making sure you don't dash your foot against a stone. How amazing is that? The God of the universe cares enough about you to assign angels specifically to your care. You're that important. You're that valuable. You're that loved. No plague comes near your dwelling, your true dwelling, your soul, your spirit. The core of who you are is untouchable by evil. Circumstances may be hard. Your body may suffer. Your emotions may be a mess. But the you that is eternal, the you that is hidden with Christ in God, the you that matters most, that you is safe, completely, utterly, eternally safe. This is so important to understand. You're not a body that happens to have a soul. You're a soul that happens to have a body. And your soul, your true self, is dwelling in God. And nothing can touch you there. Death can take your body, but it can't touch your soul. Disease can ravage your body, but it can't infect your soul. Tragedy can affect your circumstances, but it can't destroy your soul, because your soul is hidden, covered, protected, safe, in the secret place of the Most High. God Himself is with you in trouble. Whatever you're facing, however alone you feel, however dark it gets, He is there. In the cancer diagnosis, in the divorce papers, in the financial ruin, in the betrayal, in the grief, in the depression. He is there, not fixing everything immediately, but being present. And His presence changes everything. It turns the valley of the shadow of death into a place where you fear no evil, because He is with you. His presence is your peace. His presence doesn't eliminate the trouble, but it transforms it. It takes what was unbearable and makes it bearable. It takes what was meaningless and infuses it with purpose. It takes what was lonely and fills it with companionship. The trouble is still trouble, but trouble with God present is fundamentally different from trouble alone. With God, you can get through anything. Without Him, even small things can undo you. But with Him, Even the worst things life can throw at you become opportunities to experience His faithfulness, His strength, His love in deeper ways than you ever imagined. You are loved with an everlasting love. God hasn't just decided to tolerate you or put up with you. He loves you, specifically, personally, intensely. You have set your love on Him, and He responds with total, complete, passionate love for you. There is nothing you can do to make Him love you more. There is nothing you can do to make Him love you less. You are loved, period. And that love is your dwelling place. This love isn't based on your performance. It's not dependent on your feelings. It's not contingent on your circumstances. It's everlasting. It's eternal. It existed before you were born. It will exist after you die. It's unchanging, unwavering, unshakable. God's love for you is the most solid, certain thing in the universe. More certain than the laws of physics. More reliable than the sunrise. You are loved. And that love has made you a dwelling place, a secret place, a refuge, a fortress, a shelter under wings, a home under the shadow of the Almighty. So what do you do with all of this? How do you take these words and make them yours? Here's my invitation to you. When you wake up tomorrow, before your feet hit the floor, whisper one line from this psalm, just one. Maybe it's, He is my refuge. Maybe it's, He shall cover thee with His feathers. Maybe it's, thou shalt not be afraid. Just one line. Let it be the first thing you speak into your day. Why? Because the first words you speak set the tone for your day. If the first thing you do is check your phone and see all the bad news and all the demands and all the problems, that's what you'll carry all day. But if the first thing you do is speak truth, speak promise, speak the word of God, that becomes your anchor, that becomes your lens, that becomes the reality you return to all day long. And tomorrow night, when you lie down again, come back here, listen again. Let these words become so familiar that they're like an old friend. Let them sink deeper and deeper until they're not just words you heard, but truths you know in your bones. Because repetition isn't boring when it comes to truth, it's reinforcement. It's the difference between hearing about a shelter and actually living in it. You know how you can hear about a place for years, but not really know it until you visit? Or how you can visit a place once, but not really understand it until you've spent time there? That's what happens with this psalm. The first time you hear it, it's beautiful, comforting, hopeful. But the 10th time, the 50th time, the 100th time, it becomes home. You know its contours. You know its promises. You know where to find comfort when you need it. Oh, this is where the verse about angels is. This is where it talks about not being afraid. This is where God promises to deliver me. It becomes your map through the dark places. When fear comes, and it will come, because we live in a scary world, don't fight it with your own strength. Don't try to positive think your way out of it. Don't beat yourself up for being afraid. Simply return to your dwelling place. He is my refuge. Say it out loud if you can. Whisper it if you can't. Even just think it. And remind yourself that you're not standing in the open, exposed to the storm. You're under the shadow. You're under wings. You're in the secret place. Let me give you a practical example. You wake up tomorrow, and immediately your mind goes to that difficult thing you have to deal with. Maybe it's a hard conversation. Maybe it's a medical appointment. Maybe it's a deadline. Maybe it's just another day of chronic pain or depression. And your first instinct is to feel overwhelmed, to feel anxious, to feel like you can't do it. That's when you speak the truth. He is my refuge and my fortress. I will trust in Him. You're not denying the difficulty. You're not pretending it's not hard. You're just anchoring yourself to a deeper reality. You have a refuge, and you can face hard things from that refuge. When anxiety starts its familiar spiral, when your thoughts start racing, when your chest gets tight and your breathing gets shallow, just pause and picture those feathers. Picture being covered. Picture being small and safe and held. You don't have to make the anxiety go away. You just have to remember where you are. And where you are is under his wings. The anxiety can't reach you there. It might feel like it can, but feelings lie. The truth is, you're covered, and under his wings you trust. Here's what this looks like practically. You're driving to work and suddenly you feel that tightness in your chest. Panic is starting to rise. Your first instinct is to fight it, to try to make it stop, to get angry at yourself for feeling this way. But instead, you take a deep breath and you picture yourself under those wings. You imagine the soft feathers surrounding you. You remember the promise, "He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust." And you don't try to make the panic go away. You just trust under the wings. You stay in the secret place, and gradually, the panic loses its power because you're not fighting it in your own strength. You're resting under wings. When you can't sleep, when the hours tick by and you're still awake, don't panic. Don't start the inner dialogue of, "I'm going to be exhausted tomorrow," or "Why can't I just fall asleep like normal people?" Instead, use the wakefulness as an opportunity to dwell, to abide, to let these words wash over you again and again. Some of the sweetest encounters with God happen at 3 in the morning, when the world is quiet and you're too tired to pretend or perform. He meets you there. He speaks in the silence. He covers you in the dark. I've heard so many stories from people who say that their sleepless nights became their most sacred times, times when they felt God's presence in ways they never did during their busy days, times when they heard his voice speaking comfort to their hearts, times when they experienced peace that made no earthly sense. So if you can't sleep, don't waste that time being anxious about not sleeping. Use it. Dwell. Abide. Let the sleeplessness become a meeting place with God. And here's something really important. If you fall asleep while listening to this, if you drift off in the middle of a verse, that's not disrespectful. That's trust. That's your body finally feeling safe enough to let go. Sleep is an act of faith. Every time you close your eyes and surrender consciousness, you're saying, "I trust that I'll wake up. I trust that you've got me while I'm vulnerable. I trust that I don't have to stay on guard." So if you fall asleep to Scripture, you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You're dwelling. You're abiding. You're resting in the one who never sleeps so you can. Think about what sleep actually is. It's surrendering control. It's becoming completely vulnerable. For several hours, you're unconscious. You're not monitoring your surroundings. You're not protecting yourself. You're totally defenseless. And yet you do it every night, or try to. Why? Because you trust that you'll be okay. And when you fall asleep to God's word, you're taking that trust to a deeper level. You're saying, "God, I'm not just trusting that I'll wake up. I'm trusting that you're with me in my sleep, that you're watching over me, that even in my unconscious state, I'm safe with you." You might wake up in the middle of the night. That's okay. Maybe it's your body's natural rhythm. Maybe it's God gently waking you just to whisper something to your heart. Maybe it's nothing at all. But if you wake and this is still playing, let the words meet you in that half-conscious state. Let them sink into your spirit without your conscious mind filtering or analyzing. Some people have reported that they wake up with specific verses in their mind, verses that speak directly to what they're facing. That's God using even your sleep rhythms to minister to you. One woman told me she kept waking up at 4 in the morning, and every time, she'd hear the verse, "He shall give his angels charge over thee." At first she thought it was just because the audio was playing. But then one morning, Weeks after she'd stopped listening, she woke up at 4 a.m., and that verse was clear in her mind. And she felt God saying, "I've been showing you that my angels are watching over you even in the darkest hour. Even when you wake up afraid, they're there." And it transformed those early morning wakings from times of anxiety to times of comfort. She'd wake up, and instead of spiraling into worry, she'd think, "The angels are here. I'm being kept. I can rest." I want to speak to something that some of you might be feeling. You might be thinking, "This all sounds beautiful, but I've prayed before, and nothing changed. I've claimed promises before, and I'm still struggling. Does this even work?" And I want to say this with all the gentleness and love in my heart. God's promises don't always work the way we think they should. Sometimes deliverance looks like instant healing. Sometimes it looks like strength to endure. Sometimes it looks like peace in the storm, rather than the storm stopping. Let me tell you about a man I know. He struggled with depression for decades. He prayed, he claimed promises, he tried everything, and the depression didn't go away. And for a long time, he thought that meant the promises weren't true. He thought God had abandoned him. He thought his faith was insufficient. But then he had a realization. The promise wasn't that he'd never be depressed. The promise was that God would be with him in the depression, and he realized God had been there all along. In the darkest moments when he thought he was completely alone, God had been keeping him alive, had been giving him one breath at a time, had been holding him when he couldn't hold himself. The deliverance he was experiencing wasn't from depression. It was through depression, and that was just as much a miracle. The promise isn't that you'll never face hardship. The promise is that you'll never face it alone. The promise isn't that you'll never be sick. The promise is that even sickness can't separate you from God's love. The promise isn't that you'll never be afraid. The promise is that you don't have to stay afraid, because there's a dwelling place available to you where perfect love casts out fear. So if you're listening to this and you're still in pain, still afraid, still anxious, you're not doing it wrong. You're not lacking faith. You're just human. And these promises are for humans. Weak, struggling, imperfect humans who need a God who is bigger than their struggles. Keep dwelling, keep abiding, keep returning to the secret place. The shelter is working, even when you can't feel it. The wings are covering you, even when your circumstances haven't changed. God is faithful, even when your feelings say He's not. I think about the Apostle Paul. He had what he called a thorn in the flesh. We don't know exactly what it was, but it tormented him. And he prayed 3 times for God to take it away. And God said no. But God said, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness." And Paul came to a place where he could actually boast in his weaknesses, because they made room for God's strength to shine through. Maybe that's where you are. Maybe the thorn hasn't been removed. Maybe the struggle continues. But God's grace is sufficient. His strength is being perfected in your weakness. And the dwelling place, the secret place, the shadow of the Almighty, it's not contingent on your circumstances being perfect. It's available right in the middle of your hardest moments. Maybe especially in your hardest moments. And for those of you who feel like you've wandered too far, like you've made too many mistakes, like maybe God's shelter isn't for you anymore, listen to me. The secret place is still available to you. The shadow of the Almighty still covers you. The invitation to dwell hasn't been rescinded. You might have walked away, but the door is still open. You might have stopped trusting, but He never stopped being trustworthy. Come back. Come home. The Father is running toward you, not away from you. The wings are spreading wide to receive you, not folding up to exclude you. In the story of the prodigal son, the father didn't wait for the son to clean himself up. He didn't make the son prove he was worthy. He ran to him while he was still far off, while he still reeked of the pig pen, while he was still rehearsing his apology speech. The father ran to him and embraced him and welcomed him home. That's your father. That's your God. He's not waiting for you to get your act together. He's running toward you right now, arms open, ready to cover you with his feathers, ready to bring you back under his wings. This psalm, these promises, this shelter, it's for sinners, for failures, for the broken and the bruised, and the ones who can't seem to get it right. It's for the anxious, the depressed, the traumatized, the grieving. It's for the addicts and the doubters, and the ones who've walked away, and the ones who've never quite believed. It's for you, exactly as you are right now. You don't have to clean yourself up first. You don't have to have your act together. You just have to come, dwell, abide, stay, and let him be your refuge while you're a mess. He's really good at that. Actually, that's his specialty. He's called the friend of sinners, the physician who came for the sick, the shepherd who leaves the 99 to find the one lost sheep. So come, just as you are, with all your fears and failures, with all your doubts and darkness, with all your anxiety and your shame and your brokenness. Come into the secret place. Come under the shadow. Come under the wings. And let him cover you. Let him shelter you. Let him be your refuge while you're still a mess, because that's when you need him most. As we come to the close of our time together tonight, I want to pray these promises over you, not as formula or incantation, but as blessing, as declaration, as a covering of truth over your mind and heart and body. May you dwell in the secret place of the Most High. May you find that place in him where the noise of the world can't reach you, where the chaos can't touch you, where you're safe and known and loved. May you settle there. May you make it your home. May you return there again and again until dwelling becomes as natural as breathing. May you abide under the shadow of the Almighty. May his presence cover you like a blanket, like wings, like a fortress. May you know that you're not standing in the open, exposed to every threat. You're covered, you're hidden, you're protected. May you rest in that shadow, knowing it's cast by one who is infinitely strong and infinitely loving. May you say with confidence, "He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust." May those words become more real to you than your circumstances. May you know in the depths of your being that you have a place to run to, a shelter to hide in, a God who is absolutely trustworthy. May your trust deepen day by day, night by night, as you experience his faithfulness again and again. May he deliver you from every snare, every trap, every scheme of the enemy. May you walk in freedom, unentangled, unencumbered, no longer caught in patterns that steal your peace. May the snares that have held you be broken. May the traps that have caught you be sprung. May you walk out into freedom, and may you stay free. May he cover you with his feathers. May you feel the softness of his love, the warmth of his presence, the security of being completely surrounded by one who is both tender and powerful. May you know in your body, not just your mind, what it feels like to be covered, to be held, to be protected. May you trust under his wings, not striving, not performing, not trying to earn your keep, just trusting, just resting, just being held. May trust become easier as you spend time under those wings. May you learn that trust is less about your ability to believe and more about his worthiness to be believed in. May his truth be your shield. When lies come about yourself, about God, about your future, may truth intercept them before they wound you. May you know what is real and true and eternal. May lies bounce off the shield of truth. May your heart be protected by knowing and believing what God says about you. May you not be afraid. Not because scary things won't come, but because you know whose shadow you're standing in. May the terror by night and the arrow by day lose their power over you. May you walk through life with a deep, settled peace that makes no earthly sense. May fear come and find no foothold in you because you're anchored in the secret place. May 1,000 fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, and may you remain standing, not because you're better, but because you're covered. May you survive what would destroy others because you're hidden in God. May you walk through impossible situations and come out unscathed, and may everyone who watches say, "May no evil ultimately befall you. May every hard thing in your life be redeemed, transformed, worked for good, because you're dwelling in Him. May the plans of the enemy be thwarted. May what was meant to destroy you become the very thing that strengthens you. May you see, in time, that even the worst moments were somehow woven into a beautiful story of redemption. May angels watch over you, bear you up, keep you from stumbling. May you walk knowing you're surrounded by heaven's hosts. May you never be alone, never unprotected, never without help. May the unseen be as real to you as the seen. May you trust that you're being kept even when you can't see how. May you have authority over the lion and the adder and the dragon. May the things that would devour you be under your feet. May you know that in Christ, you're more than a conqueror. May you walk in the authority that's yours. May the enemy flee at the name of Jesus on your lips. May you know that you're not powerless, not helpless, not at mercy of darkness, because you dwell in the light. May God set you on high, because you've set your love on Him. May He answer when you call. May He be with you in trouble. May He deliver you and honor you. May He satisfy you with long life and show you His salvation. May you know His deliverance in big ways and small. May you experience His presence in joy and in sorrow. May you be honored by the one whose opinion matters most. May you be satisfied not with more stuff but with more of Him. This is your inheritance. This is your birthright as a child of God. These aren't just nice words. They're promises from the one who cannot lie, the one who has never broken a promise, the one who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So close your eyes now. Let your body sink into wherever you're resting. Release the tension in your shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Soften your face. Let your forehead smooth out. Let your hands relax. Let your legs go heavy. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs completely. Hold it for just a moment. Now let it out slowly through your mouth, releasing all the tension, all the worry, all the anxiety. Again, breathe in peace. Breathe out fear. Breathe in God's presence. Breathe out your anxiety. One more time. Deep breath in. Slow breath out. Good. You are held. You are loved. You are safe. You dwell in the secret place. You abide under the shadow. You are covered with feathers. You trust under His wings. You shall not be afraid. You are delivered. You are honored. You are satisfied. He is your refuge. He is your fortress. He is your God, and in Him you trust. Rest now, beloved. Rest in the one who never sleeps so you can. Rest in the arms that hold the universe yet cradle you tenderly. Rest in the shadow that covers everything you are and everything you fear. Rest in the secret place that was made for you before the foundation of the world. Rest in the wings that have been spread over you since before you were born. Rest in the love that will never let you go. Rest. You're safe. Completely safe. Eternally safe. Nothing can pluck you out of His hand. Nothing can separate you from His love. Nothing can penetrate the dwelling place where you are right now. Rest. Let go of trying to figure everything out. Let go of trying to fix everything. Let go of trying to control everything. Just rest. Just be held. Just dwell, rest. Tomorrow will have its own challenges. But tonight is for rest. Tonight is for dwelling. Tonight is for abiding under the shadow of the Almighty. Rest. If these words brought you peace tonight, if you felt even a moment of relief from the anxiety that's been chasing you, would you leave a comment? Tell me which verse meant the most to you. Or just say, I needed this, because your words might be exactly what someone else scrolling through needs to see. They might read your comment and think, I'm not alone in this struggle. I'm not the only one who needs to hear this. And that matters. Your story matters. Your experience matters. And sharing it might be the very thing that gives someone else permission to seek shelter too. And if you'd like more of this, more scripture for sleep, more meditations on God's promises, more reminders of whose shadow you're standing in, subscribe to this channel. Make this a place you come back to whenever the terror by night feels too big, whenever the arrow by day is aimed at your heart, whenever you need to remember that you have a dwelling place and His name is the Most High. We'll be here, night after night, reminding you of the truth. For now, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and know that you are held under the shadow of the Almighty. There is rest, there is peace, there is safety, and tonight, that's exactly where you are. In Jesus' name, amen. Rest now. Just rest. You're covered, you're kept, you're loved, you're His, and He is yours, and that's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. You dwell there, you abide there, you are there right now. Rest. Let your breathing slow. Let your mind quiet. Let your body relax. You don't have to do anything else tonight. You don't have to fix anything or solve anything or accomplish anything. You just have to rest. And as you drift off, whether now or later, know that you're not alone. Angels surround you. God covers you. The Holy Spirit dwells within you. You are held by the Trinity, surrounded by love, protected by power, covered by grace. Rest, beloved child of God. Rest in the one who loves you more than you can comprehend. Rest in the one who gave everything for you. Rest in the one who promises never to leave you or forsake you. Rest in the one who is your refuge, your fortress, your dwelling place. Rest in the secret place of the Most High. Abide under the shadow of the Almighty. You're home, you're safe, you're loved. Rest.